Welcome, this is Virendra Kumar Jha and you are watching Khabar Tak Tak. In the sequence of stories of superhit films shown on Khabar Tak Tak, the new link of story that I bring to you today is the story of film Mohra, that is Pong. This film was released on silver screen in 1994 and was the second most grossing film of that year. Rajiv Rai directed this film, and the lead role in this film were played by Akshay, Kumar Sunil Shetty, and Mast girl RavinaTandon Paresh. The role of villain were played by three artists in this film, namely Nasruddin Shah as main villain, and Raja Murad and Gulshan Grover as subsequent villain. Paresh Rawal, Sadasiv Amrapurkar, etc. played character role in this film. This film included many a beautiful dance scene and melodious song as well. The music director of this film was Deepu Shah and Kavita Krishnamurti, Alka Yagnik, Kumar Sanu and Udit Narayan voiced over in the song of this film. However, almost all the songs in this film were melodious, yet ना कजरे की धार, ना मोतियों की हार, ना कोई किया श्रृंगार, फिर भी कितनी सुंदर हो तुम, कितनी सुंदर हो। एंड तू चीज बड़ी है मस्त मस्त, तू चीज बड़ी है मस्त, तू चीज बड़ी है मस्त मस्त, तू चीज बड़ी है मस्त। नहीं तुमको कोई होश होश, नहीं तुमको कोई होश होश, उस पर यौवन का जोश जोश, नहीं तेरा, नहीं तेरा कोई दोष दोष, मद मस्त है तू हर वक्त वक्त, तू चीज बड़ी है मस्त मस्त, तू चीज बड़ी है मस्त. Received warm welcome by the audience that year. Now listen the entire story of film Mohra, that is Pong, in detail. The story of the film Mohra begins with the police arresting a member of drug gang and taking him to jail. During the arrest, the criminal attacks the police. Just then, the jailer, played by Kulbhushan Khanda, arrives and slaps him with a powerful hand, locks the criminal behind bars. After the jailer leaves, the criminal speaks the police, "You will pay for this slap, jailer." After dealing with the criminal, the jailer returns to his office to look through files related to criminals when his phone rings. As the jailer picks up the receiver of the phone, his daughter Roma, played by Ravina Tandon, asks him to come to meet her, and that too right now. The jailer replies, "You are in Mumbai right now, so how can I come to you today?" She then tells her father, "I am not in Mumbai but at home." Hearing this, the jailer immediately leaves his office to meet his daughter Roma. When the jailer, after inquiring about Roma's well-being, questions her sudden return home, his daughter Roma, a journalist, explains that she has come to prepare a special report on the criminals imprisoned there. She then accompanies her father to the jail to meet the criminals. As the jailer is escorting Roma inside the jail to meet the criminals, the same drug dealer whom the jailer had slapped strikes him from behind with a rod, knocking him unconscious. The criminal, along with some other criminals from his gang, attempts to rape Roma. Just then, Vishal, another criminal in the jail, played by Sunil Shetty, arrives and confronts the criminals attempting to rape Roma, beating them all to almost death. Roma thanks Vishal for this. By then, the jailer has also regained consciousness and, thanking Vishal for saving his daughter from those criminals, takes his daughter Roma back home. The next day, Roma arrives at the jail and meets Vishal and tries to find out why he is incarcerated. Vishal simply tells her that he is incarcerated for murder, but despite Roma's insistence, he initially refuses to explain the circumstances under which he committed the crime. Roma then replies that she has become his friend because he saved her from being dishonored. Citing their friendship, she tells Vishal, "Tell me the circumstances of the murder. I will help you get out of jail because I am a journalist." After Roma repeatedly invokes their friendship, Vishal begins to recount the incident that led to the murder and his imprisonment. Vishal tells her that he, like any other ordinary man, had been living a happy life with his wife and sister in law who had come to study there. One day he left his sister in law at college and returned home. There she began attending class with her boyfriend Tony, played by Vinay Spru. Seeing this, some drug addicted students become irritated and decided to rape Vishal's sister in law. To achieve their goal, they resort to Roma's boyfriend Tony. They organize a fake birthday party where Vishal's sister in law also attends with Tony. They drug Tony, who is intoxicated, and lock him up in a room while he is intoxicated. They then engage in dancing, singing, and carousing with Vishal's sister in law. In the process, they drug Vishal's sister in law despite her refusal under the guise of a cold drink and then attempt to rape her while she is intoxicated. In the process, Vishal's sister in law falls from the rooftop and dies while trying to save her honor from the goons. When Vishal learns of this incident, he has Tony file a police report to get the goons behind bars and justice for his sister in law. However, when the trial begins, Tony, fearing the goons, claims Vishal's sister in law died after falling from the rooftop while under the influence of drugs. Having received money from the goons, the public prosecutor also sides with them and does not contest the case, resulting in goons' acquittal. Instead, the public prosecutor even has Tony jailed for a short time on charge of illegal drug trafficking. When Tony is released from jail, Vishal confronts him about his false statement regarding his sister in law's death. He reveals that goons threatened to kill him. Vishal then leaves the place to return home, but before he can reach his home, the same goons was attempted to rape his wife, sister-in-law, resulting in the death after falling from the rooftop. Arrive at Vishal's house to rape his wife. To save her honor, Vishal's wife stabs herself in the stomach with a vegetable knife and begins screaming for help. The goons file pleas in fear. Vishal arrives and seeing his wife's plight attempts to save her, but he is unable to do so. However, before dying, his wife told Vishal that the same goons who caused her sister's death had come here to dishonor her. Hearing this, Vishal took the same knife and went in search of the goons, killing them one by one. The subsequent trial resulted in a life sentence which he is currently serving in prison. Hearing this, Roma's eye welled up with tears and she consoled Vishal, promising him that she would soon open the case and secure his release. After leaving Vishal's house, Roma visits Superintendent of Police Kamdev, played by Sadashivam Rapurkar, in his office. There she introduces herself as a journalist and asks to see the file related to Vishal's crime. Police Superintendent Kamdev tells her that the file is with a police inspector named Amar, played by Akshay Kumar, and that she can go to him to see it. When Roma arrives at Amar's office to look at Vishal's criminal records, Amar, along with his assistant Sub-Inspector Kasinath, played by Paresh Rawal, are on an underwear cover operation to apprehend drug traffickers. To catch these criminals red-handed, Sub-Inspector Kasinath disguises himself as a girl and strikes a deal with them for the supply of drugs while giving them an advance. Her secret is revealed and the goons try to kill him. Just then Inspector Amar arrives and not only saves Sub-Inspector Kasinath from the goons but also beats goons up and locks them up in his lockup. Returning to his office After dealing with the goons, Amar finds a girl waiting for him. He asks her for her address and occupation. The girl introduces herself as Roma and explains that the superintendent of police has sent her there to look at Vishal's criminal records. She has come here to collect the records and has been waiting for them for a long time. Then, when she hears the story of Inspector Amar single-handedly entering a gang of goons, beating them up, saving the lives of the police, and locking them up in the police station, she falls in love with Amar. She then takes the file related to Vishal's criminal record from Amar and returns home. The incident of Amar's arrival at his hideout, beating up his men and locking him up in the lockup, enraged the criminal leader Gibran, played by Raja Murad, who enrages his men and questions his own mistakes in allowing the police to enter his hideout. His gatekeeper reveals that it was his own mistake that allowed the police to enter his hideout, mistaking them for ordinary drug buyers. Hearing this, the criminal leader Gibran, despite his request, kills him. He then presses her superintendent of police Kamran to release the four arrested goons from the Amar's police station. While Police Superintendent Kamran is releasing the criminals, Amar had arrested the business of criminal leader Gibran. Roma arrives and thanks him for helping her obtain Vishal's criminal case. Just then, Inspector Amar arrives and tells the police superintendent that officers like him risked their lives to apprehend the criminals, and if a senior officer like him releases them, criminal will not decrease but will only increase. This statement by Inspector Amar further impresses journalist Roma, and she falls in love with him deeply. Superintendent of Police Kamran takes Inspector Amar to sit with him for some work, then Roma leaves. Leaving Superintendent of Police Kamran's office, Roma goes straight to Inspector Amar's house and tells his mother about her love for Amar. After finishing his office work, Inspector Amar returns home and gazes proudly at father's photograph. Just then, his mother arrives and reproachfully says, "You two, father and son, are as good at police duty, but you are as bad at love. You have been in love for so long and you didn't even tell me." Hearing all this, Roma goes there and with the files related to Vishal speaks to Inspector Amar in a tone that convinces her mother that Amar and Roma are in love. Roma regularly publishes new stories in her newspaper related to the injustice done to Vishal and his experience during his stay in jail, which increases public awareness and people start filing petition for Vishal's release. The owner of this newspaper, Mr. Jindal, played by Nasruddin Shah, uses his influences to get the case related to Vishal reopened, and when it is being heard, he falsely implicates him and presents the evidence of even the government lawyer being in collusion with the goons and those goons killing each other for supremacy among themselves, due to which the judge immediately orders the release of Vishal from jail. Inspector Amar also falls in love with Roma after repeatedly meeting Roma regarding Vishal's case. Then both of them love a lot of fun in love, and when Vishal is being released from jail due to the efforts of Roma and Mr. Jindal, then the jailer, that is Roma's father, make him understand and says that it is very fortunate that you have got a chance to be released from this jail, so don't make such mistakes again. Since his wife is no longer in this world, Vishal is thinking about how to spend his life after coming out of jail when a special person of Mr. Jindal takes him to Mr. Jindal. Because Vishal comes to the newspaper owner, Mr. Jindal, and asks him why these people are so kind to him.
On this, Mr. Jindal tells him that he is not doing any favor to him. Rather, he wants that the criminals who forced him to stay inside the jail for so many days now, after coming out of the jail, should remove those criminals from this world. On this, Vishal talks about not doing this in future. Hearing this, Mr. Jindal tells Vishal that I too have a story similar to yours. Those drug smugglers killed my wife in front of my eyes, and I could not do anything. Here, no one can say anything in front of these criminals and are only forced to endure their terror. Even the police administration and leaders do not have the courage to say or do anything against these criminals. In such a situations, I want that this example of revolution against these criminals should be in your strong hands. On this, Vishal says that he went to jail one day after killing his sister-in-law and his wife's murder. Then Mr. Jindal tells him that they were found. The real culprits are Mr. Gibran and Tyson, played by Gulshan Grover. Jindal asked Mr. Vishal to end both of them, but Vishal once again reiterates his refusal to do so and goes home. When Vishal arrives at his house, the first thing he sees is the picture of his wife and sister-in-law hanging on the wall, and his old wound becomes green again. After that, when he sleeps at night, the words of the newspaper owner Jindal start shaking his mind, and with the determination to root out those criminals, he comes to the newspaper owner Jindal the very next morning and tells him to work for him. On this, the owner of the newspaper Jindal gives him a file and tells him that it contains the complete details of the criminals and asks him to eliminate these criminals as per his discretion. Jindal also tells him that he will provide him money, recommendation, or anything else you need to do this work. After this, Vishal leaves from there on his mission. Meanwhile, Superintendent of Police Kamran advises Inspector Amar not to fight with criminals and says that even if he dies while fighting criminals for the society, no one in society will come after him. It is better that he does his job just for show and does not mess with criminals. On this, Inspector Amar tells him that he has worn the police uniform for the good of the society, not to fear criminals. Then he tells the Superintendent of Police to fight the criminals secretly and leave from there. Vikas and Inspector Amar run their own operations and eliminate many criminals from Gibran and Tyson's gang, due to which Tyson gets scared and decides to compromise with Gibran. Amar gets information from intelligence sources that a big party is to be held at Gibran's place the next day. In this, he is going to do a big deal of drugs and intoxication. Inspector Amar and his girlfriend, journalist Roma, deceives the criminals by disguising as a dancer and reach Gibran's program and start dancing and singing. Just then, criminal leader Tyson come to the program and along with his fellow criminals leader Gibran makes an action plan that both of them will now divide their boundaries and will not fight among themselves. Then both of them also share their action plan with each other so that Inspector Amar gets to know about their further action. Vishal also comes to this program secretly and overhears these plans to kill the criminals one by one. When Inspector Amar goes to Gibran's program and goes ahead to catch the criminal considered to be his right-hand man red-handed, the criminals recognize him and starts running to save his life. In this sequence, when he tries to board a moving vehicle, Vishal, present here, murders him by helping him board the vehicle and makes him sit on a seat and himself sits on the front seat. Inspector Amar, who was chasing the criminal, came in that motor. When he tries to arrest the criminals, he finds him dead. Then, upon seeing Vishal sitting on the front seat of the bus, he assumes him to be the criminal's killer and asks him what he is doing in the bus. Vishal shows him a ticket to the next station and says he is traveling on the bus to his destination. The next day, when Amar sets out to arrest one of the criminal's closest associate, Vishal murders his before he can. Inspector Amar, holding Vishal responsible for the criminal's murder, questions him repeatedly. Just then, Jindal, the newspaper owner, arrives and tells Inspector Amar that Vishal was with him for 2 hours ago. Providing proof of this, Inspector Amar warns Vishal that he is letting him go for now due to the lack of evidence, but if he continues his behavior, he will soon be back behind bars. Due to Inspector Amar's pressure and Vishal's murder of the criminal's closest associate, both Gibran and Tyson, they begin to suspect each other. Tyson appraises his rival Gibran and accuses him of being responsible for the murder of his men. Gibran also accuses Tyson of the same crime, and the two gang then points their guns at each other. When both gang leaders find themselves in each other's crosshairs, they reach a compromise and leave, stipulating that they will not attack each other's gang in the future. Gibran and Tyson, the gang leaders, return to their respective hideouts and assure their men that their rivals was spared this time due to the circumstances, but they will not spare them next day. Then they return to their respective drug and narcotic trades. One day, Vishal reports his action to Mr. Jindal, the newspaper owner. Mr. Jindal, giving him a warning, warns him to be wary of the police, especially Inspector Amar, and leaves for Roma's birthday party. He secretly loves Roma but don't reveals it. Then Roma's father, the jailer, reveals his daughter Roma's engagement to Inspector, and Inspector Amar and Roma get engaged. Inspector Amar receives intelligence report that a criminal mastermind from Singapore, Lily, is coming to deal drugs and narcotics. Inspector Amar learns from his colleagues Sub-Inspector Kasinath that Lily, the Singaporean criminal, is not arriving by plane. Inspector Amar and his colleague Sub-Inspector Kasinath, disguised as Lily and her associate, arrives at Tyson's hideout and finalize the deal. Sub-Inspector Kasinath is expected as Lily's associate, and then the criminals, upon closer inspection, recognize that it is not Lily. Tyson's second highest confidant then orders his criminals to close the door and identify Lily and her assistant, the Sub-Inspector Kasinath. Inspector Amar removes his fake beard and hair and orders Tyson's closest associate to be arrested. Learning of Inspector Amar's presence, the criminals attacked both Inspector Amar and the Sub-Inspector, hoping to kill them. However, Inspector Amar and his associate Sub-Inspector Kasinath defeat them all, leaving them in a state of disarray. Tyson's closet confidant then grabs a briefcase full of drugs and narcotics and flees for his life. Amar pursues him. Vishal arrives in a car and takes Tyson's closest confidant into his car. He then jumps out of the car and leaves it to fall into a ditch. The car shatters and catches fire, killing Tyson's closest confidant. Inspector Amar believes it to be a car accident, but the Sub-Inspector Kasinath spots Vishal fleeing the scene. Inspector Amar then realizes that this was not an accident but a murder committed by Vishal. Criminal leader Tyson summons Superintendent of Police Kamran and pleads for a more relaxed police response. Superintendent of Police Kamran then explains that Inspector Amar attended the event, but he didn't murder anyone. The police are perplexed about who is committing the murders and at whose behest. Meanwhile, Gibran believes the murders of his men were orchestrated by Tyson and vows to teach Tyson a lesson. Sub-Inspector Kasinath arrives and informs him that the murder were not committed by Tyson's criminals or the police, but it by Vishal. Vishal discovers the secret factory of criminal mastermind Tyson's, where drugs and narcotics are to be further potentialized, packaged, and distributed across the country. Vishal enters the secret factory armed with a bomb and a knife. He first kills the guard, then, when a second and third group of criminals guarding the factory attacks him, he kills them all with the knife he has brought with him. He takes the revolvers of two of the slain criminals and proceeds to the place where the criminals are manufacturing and packaging the drugs and narcotics. Once there, he opens fire indiscriminately, killing the goons there and destroying all the equipment used to manufacture the drugs and narcotics. As soon as the bullets in both his revolvers are over, the remaining criminal points a gun at him. Then he takes out the bomb he had hidden with him and throws it towards him, which causes a huge explosion and a fire. All the criminals are reduced to ashes in that explosion. Criminal leader Tyson believes this to be the work of his rival gang leader Gibran and calls him, threatening him with dire consequences. Gibran tells him that this is not his gang's action, nor is the police doing this, but Vishal's doing. In such a situation, we should forget our mutual enmity and unite to teach both Vishal and the police a lesson. He then summons Tyson to his hideout, but Tyson tells him to come to an area that is neither his nor his control. Afterwards, both gang leaders Gibran and Tyson arrive at the designated locations with their respective gangs armed with heavy weapons. While Gibran and Tyson were discussing their next strategy, Vishal, hiding from a distance, shot Tyson in the arm with a telescopic rifle. Tyson, believing this to be an act of Gibran's gang, retreated a little and ordered his men to attack Gibran and his gang and kill them all. Gibran then followed suit. Both gangs were killed in the attack. Although Gibran was still breathing, Vishal arrives and killed him. Seeing Vishal killing Gibran, Tyson fled, but Vishal chased him down and killed him. When Vishal informed Jindal, the reporter, the newspaper owner, of this news, he was overjoyed and told his men that only Superintendent Kamran was left. Vishal would soon kill him as well. He then told his men that he was very happy about this. When Vishal arrives at Superintendent Kamran's office to assassinate him and begins to target him from a hidden perspective, he overhears Police Superintendent Kamran praising him, saying that by killing criminals, he is in fact doing the police job. In his praise, he even goes so far as to say that if the government, instead of re-establishing police, hired such dedicated social workers, all crimes would soon be eradicated from society. Hearing this, Vishal changes his mind about killing Police Superintendent Kamran and goes to Jindal, the newspaper owner. Vishal sees Gibran talking to Jindal and is astonished as he knew he had already killed Gibran. He then eavesdrops on their conversation. Jindal tells Gibran that Vishal must have killed Superintendent Kamran by now. Vishal then approaches them and tells Jindal that he didn't kill Police Superintendent Kamran. Jindal asks him why he let Police Superintendent Kamran go, saying he is total scoundrel. Vishal replies that he is not a scoundrel but a dutiful police officer. He wouldn't kill him. Jindal slaps Vishal hard, causing him to fall. He then attacks Jindal with a glass ball, which Jindal catches. Seeing this, Vishal tells Jindal that he is not a blind man, because a blind person cannot catch a ball coming at them so easily. Jindal then removes his glasses and demonstrates that he is not blind. When Vishal attacks Jindal, Gibran aims him at gunpoint Jindal then ties him tightly to a chair and begins telling his story. Jindal says that he was obsessed with making money quickly, but he lacked the skills to earn so much. He lived with his wife at the home of his friend Police Inspector Karan, who was Inspector Amar's father. Jindal's wife often tells Karan, your friend, my husband, doesn't want to work at my father's newspaper, so please explain to him how long he will continue to live off your crumbs. Inspector Karan then tells him that his wife will be arriving in a few days. When she arrives, I will lovingly explain everything to him over dinner one day. Jindal overhears the conversations between his wife and Inspector Karan in order to make him more money with friends criminals Gibran and Tyson. They tell him that their business has slowed since Inspector Karan took over, and if he helps them get one of his consignment through the city, he will receive a large sum of money. He is Inspector Karan's friend, so no one will suspect on him and search his car. After this, Jindal returns to his friend Karan's house at night, and when everyone is asleep, he secretly takes Inspector Karan's revolver and uniform from his cupboard. He takes his official car to the criminal gang Gibral and Tyson. He takes the consignment of drugs and narcotics from him and takes it out of the city to another criminals gang. When he returns to Gibral and Tyson and asks them to divide the money, Gibran and Tyson offer to divide it into three equal parts. Jindal claims he took the risk, so half in his money should be his. Gibran and Tyson then chases him away and split the money equally. When Jindal returned from the two criminals' gang to his friend Inspector Karan, Inspector Karan tells him, if you were not my friend, I would have killed you today because you took advantage of my friendship. Instead, I arrest you. As Inspector Karan saying this, starting moving towards him, then he kills Inspector Karan with the revolver he had obtained from the cupboard of Karan. The his wife witnessed the scene of the killing Inspector Karan. Seeing this, Jindal's wife informs Superintendent of Police Kamran that Inspector Karan has been murdered and asks him to come quickly. Before she can tell Police Superintendent Kamran anything about the murderer, Jindal kills her too. When Superintendent of Police Kamran arrives at the scene after responding to Jindal's wife's call, Jindal breaks down in tears. He tells Superintendent of Police Kamran that someone murdered Inspector Karan and his wife, and when he heard the noise and ran to catch the murderer, he picked him up and threw him down. In the chaos, I could not see the killer's face, and now I cannot see anything. Just then, Inspector Karan's wife arrives with their child, Amar. Jindal would have killed him too, but realizing the gravity of the matter, Police Superintendent Kamran takes him to a secret location and keeps him safe. After recounting this story to Vishal, he declares, I will destroy anyone who stands in my way forever. Saying this, he places a time bomb at Vikas' feet and make walk away with Gibran. As soon as Jindal, the newspaper owner, and Gibran leaves, Vishal tries to escape from the time bomb. In this sequence, he first dismantles the time bomb with his feet, then smashes the chair against the wall, unhooking it, and escapes before the bomb can explode. Meanwhile, Inspector Amar goes to Vishal's house to gather evidence against him and brings home the file Jindal gave him, the files he used to carry out all the murders. Vishal, having escaped the bomb, returns to Inspector Amar's house, leading Inspector Amar's finance journalist Roma is clinging and bandaging the wounds on his face. Seeing this, Inspector Amar becomes enraged and tells Vishal that he now has all the evidence of his crime, so he should surrender to the police. Telling so, he moves towards Vikas to handcuff him. Vikas tells Inspector Amar to stop. Journalist Roma also urges Inspector Amar to listen to Vikas. But he slaps his fiancée, journalist Roma, and forcibly takes Vikas to the police station. Vikas then confronts Inspector Amar and the two exchange blows, but ultimately Inspector Amar subdues Vishal. Newspaper owner Jindal, believing Vikas dead in that time bomb explosion, begins to rapidly expand his criminal activities. His drug and narcotics trade now extends beyond India to Europe. Some European smugglers approaches him and offer him a major deal. Jindal tells him that he will now settle in a European city instead of India and operate his illegal drug and narcotics trade from there. He also reveals that he will forcibly marry Inspector Amar's fiancée, journalist Roma, and take her to Europe. Meanwhile, Sub-Inspector Kasinath approaches Gibran with intelligence report from the police station that Inspector Amar has imprisoned Vishal, who will reveal all the secrets of the murder within 2 days. When the criminals gang leader Gibran comes to Jindal with Inspector Kasinath and explains everything, saying that once Vishal exposes, they will all go behind bars. Jindal, the newspaper owner, reports that he will still be there for 2 days. He then organizes a grand party. Many criminals gang members like Gibran, who lives in white-collar settings, attend Jindal's party. Police Superintendent Kamran and Inspector Amar also attended. Inspector Amar is furious to see Roma ignoring him and growing closer to Jindal and dancing with him. Amar, who has never used alcohol, takes it severely and sings a sad song. His fiancée Roma, a journalist, sees this and looks at him with sorrow, but due to some special compulsion, she remains with Jindal. After Inspector Amar and all the guests leave, the journalist Roma begins to leave. Jindal, the newspaper owner, forcibly stops her and tells her to leave Inspector Amar and become his wife. Roma protests, but Jindal says she has no choice but to remain in wife. He then injects her with an aphrodisiac, causing her to fall in love with him for a moment. However, as the effect of the injection wears off, she attempts to escape. Gibran and Jindal's other criminals repeatedly capture her and return her to Jindal. When Inspector Amar visits Vishal at the police station with the intention of exposing the city murderers, it is revealed that Superintendent of Police Kamran, having released Vishal from prison, telling him releasing him at his own risk before retiring, lest he becomes a philanthropist who falls victim to society and the law. Hearing this, Inspector Amar tells Superintendent of Police Kamran, I repeatedly apprehend criminals and you repeatedly releases them. It seems you two are in cohorts with the goon. Superintendent Kamran responds, I am not in cahoots with criminals, nor in Vishal a real criminal. The real culprit is someone else, and he just a pawn. Before Inspector Amar can say anything more, Police Superintendent Kamran receives a call from Jindal, the newspaper owner. He informs Superintendent Kamran of his future plans. He also tells about forceful marriage with Roma, the journalist. Hearing this on the phone, Superintendent of Police Kamran begins to ponder how to save Vikas and Inspector Roma from Jindal's clutches. Inspector Amar explains that he secretly imprisoned Vishal. Jindal could only have learned of his imprisonment if some one from his own police stations was colluding with these criminals and passing secret information to him. He then tells Superintendent of Police Kamran that he would recognize such a traitor among them by sight. Sub-Inspector Kasinath then goes to him and examines him closely, but instead of arresting Sub-Inspector Kasinath, he arrests another police officer, Kantiram, and has his imprisoned. Regarding Inspector Amar's decision to imprison Kantinath, Superintendent Kamran remarks, "It seems your arrow missed this time." Inspector Amar then replies, "Whether it hit the mark or not, it will definitely have some effect." Delighted at not being identified as a traitor by Inspector Amar, Sub-Inspector Kasinath, who serves as a pawn for criminals and passes on secret information from the police station to them, calls Gibran and expresses his happiness, saying that even Inspector Amar's eyes were deceived. Gibran then tells him that he is currently on his way to Jindal, the newspaper owner, and that he should also come there with more secret information from the police station. As Sub-Inspector Kasiram takes a car and begins to approach Jindal at the behest of the criminal leader Gibran to this new hideout where he, along with his goons, is torturing journalist Roma to force her to marry him. Inspector Amar and Vishal attacked Sub-Inspector Kasinath, threatening to kill him and telling him to make the car directly to Jindal's hideout. They then take AK-47 rifles and hide in the trunk of the car. As Sub-Inspector Kasinath parks his car in the parking lot and heads to meet Jindal, his security guard stops him and questions him. He then claims to be very close to Jindal. Security guards take his car key from him and allow him to meet Jindal and Gibran. When the security guard, having taken the car keys, begins searching him and opening the trunk, Inspector Amar and Vishal, who are inside, shoots him dead. Then, killing the second and third layer security guards, they proceed directly to Jindal when Jindal's security guards open fire on Inspector Amar and Vishal. They kill them all with their AK-47 rifles. When the criminals' leader Gibran tries to stop them, they shot him too. Seeing this, Jindal puts the barrel of his revolver to the temple of Inspector Amar's fiancée, journalist Roma. He forces Inspector Amar and Vikas to put down their AK-47 and flees the scene, forcibly taking journalist Roma with him. Vishal suddenly leaps into the air, kicking Jindal hard and frees Roma from his grip. Jindal then begins firing his gun at Inspector Amar and Vishal's. To escape, Inspector Amar and Vishal hide for a while, but as soon as Jindal runs out of bullets, the two attack him. By then, Jindal's other goons arrive and attack Inspector Amar and Vishal together. Jindal once again captures Roma and flees. Vishal, after eliminating Jindal's goon, confronts Jindal once again and attempts to rescue Inspector Amar's fiancée, journalist Roma, from his clutches. Jindal aims his gun at Vishal and threatens Inspector Amar to drop his weapon or he will kill Vishal. Vishal tells him not to do, but Inspector Amar obeys Jindal's command. Jindal then asks Inspector Amar to bend down and rub his nose on the ground. Vishal again forbids him from doing so, but Amar does as Jindal commands. While Inspector Amar is rubbing his nose on the ground, Jindal tries to shoot him, but Vikas takes the bullet himself, saving Inspector Amar's life. Seeing this, Inspector Amar fires multiple shots at Jindal, the newspaper owner, killing him. Inspector Amar and his fiancée journalist Roma both come to Vishal and try to console him, but Vishal gives journalist Roma both come to Vishal and try to console him, but Vishal gives up his life, saying, "You are right, my friend. I was just a pawn for these criminals." By then, Superintendent of Police Kamran and journalist Roma's father, the jailer, arrives. He hands journalist Roma over to Inspector Amar, saying, "This is your reward for your dedication to duty." This scene concludes the story of the film Mohra.